What's up, guys? Welcome back to part 2 or episode 2 of the ranking. That's what I'm calling it. I'm just gonna call it the ranking. That's what I called it on the playlist. If you are new to the channel, if this is the first video you're watching, I just uploaded a video explaining what I'm doing. I'm gonna briefly talk about what I'm doing real quick and kind of give you an idea of what's going on. So basically, I ranked every single game I've ever played, and I'm starting at 66, and I'm working my way down to number 61. No, what the frick am I talking? Working my way all the way down to number 1. Up until 50, I'm gonna do 3 or 4 games per video up until 50, and then after 50, I love those games. So I will most likely be spending one video on one game just because I'm just gonna have so much to yap about, honestly. but yeah, so that's the rules, I guess. I kind of realized last episode that I caught myself a couple times, holding back from what I was gonna say. Now I have made up my mind that I do want to keep this series relatively spoiler free. So, if I do talk about a spoiler, I will give a major spoiler warning. I will cover the game as spoiler-free as I can, and then, and then talk about the goodies. But let's go ahead and jump right in. Today, starting with number 63, we have Inside. Now, I don't know if you watched the last episode, but I talked about a game called Limbo. It was made in 2010. Inside was released in 2016. And it's the same kind of platforming. I was looking at it yesterday. It's called a 2.5D. Instead of 2D or 3D, it's a 2.5D. And it's a platforming puzzle game. And I actually played it fairly recently on my fiance's Switch. And, between us getting ready for stuff, and I think it probably took me about 2 hours. I don't know what the official playthrough is, but I did get stuck. That's something I was going to talk about. I actually got stuck a few times. Now, I remember when I played through Limbo, it wasn't hard. It wasn't super hard. I understood it. I knew what I was supposed to do, but with this game, the mechanics are so interesting. Because there is parts of the game where you put on this helmet and you control other zombies they're not really zombies, they're other people, but you control them. But as far as the plot goes, it's kind of the same thing with Limbo. It's a faceless, nameless kid, and he's running through a forest. And one of the first things he comes across is a dog, and it starts chasing him. Anyway, it chases him to this lab. You start finding where they're definitely doing experiments on people. And, there's not really much more I could say other than they're doing experiments on people. It's freaky. There's a horror aspect. And, it's good. It's good. But lackluster plot. What you don't really expect as much of a plot when you're playing games like that. Because nothing super negative to say. Just little to no plot, and that's why it's landing at 63. Going to 62, we have Sly 2: Band of Thieves. Now, some of y'all may not even know what the Sly series is. I grew up loving the Sly series. I really did. There are 4 games in the series. This one was released in 2004. 2004. I can't even remember when the first one was released. I think the first one was released 2001. I could be wrong. I have it wrote down somewhere, but 2004. That's crazy. And that is that'll come into play in a minute, but Sly 2, you're following Sly the Raccoon, Bentley the Turtle, and Murray the Hippo. I forgot what he was for a second. And it takes a lot of elements from the first game, and it kind of does them a little bit better. but the plot is just nowhere near as intriguing as the first game. The first game is a good bit later in the series. Wing wing. I don't think it's a good bit later. But it is later in the series, and I'll explain like what the plot is. The plot to that is a lot better than that. This basically takes a character from the first game who was an animatronic, and the second game is basically tracking down pieces of that animatronic, give or take. I mean, that's basically what it is, which isn't great. I mean, they did add new element. Like, I remember the first time they added an element where, so I didn't really explain what your goal is. So Sly the raccoon, y'all are thieves, okay? And you can like walk up behind characters that are walking in the city. You can pickpocket like with his little Sly hook. And there's different stages to different worlds. It's kind of like a little bit reminiscent of like Mario, but it's open world. And also, you trigger the missions yourself. Like you can walk up to a certain place and trigger that mission, and it's really cool. Like it sounds kind of like it's really original. Like I don't know anywhere I don't know any games that did it before. Like I know a lot of games have done it since, but like it's really, really like it's really inventive. But unfortunately, this one just kind of falls a little bit lower because of it being outdated. And I mean, there are just games that are better. That's kind of what it boils down to. I don't really have a negative for this game per se, but just that it's a little bit outdated. But alrighty, next up we have number 61, Life is Strange Before the Storm. Okay, this was the first time they branched out in the Life is Strange series. This was a prequel to the first game, and it follows a side character not side character. She was one of the main characters, but it follows a side character from the first game, Chloe, and it takes her character and makes her the main character. You basically just get to find out about her whole background while Max Caulfield, which is the main character of the first game, is still in, I think Seattle is where she is in the game. I could be completely wrong. I haven't played through that game in a hot minute. But it just kind of shows where her life events are, Chloe's life events are leading up until Max gets there. And we get to find out more about Rachel. This isn't a spoiler. In the first game, Rachel is missing. And we actually find out why she was missing in the first game. But in this game, we get to find out just about Rachel as a whole. And, there's some pretty cool aspects to this game. There are little nods to the original, which is cool. These games always have such a good, like, indie / alternative, like, soothing, like, calm music. And, they're so good it matches the art style so well. And it matches the art style well, and it's just a vibe, and that's it's good. But now kind of leaning towards the not so great side. In my opinion, this is my whole opinion. A good half, if not more, of this game is focused on Rachel's biological mother. She finds out that her biological mother is not who her actual mother is, and there's a whole bunch of drama there. But frankly, I don't care. I doesn't, and that may be, this may be, I don't think this is a hot take. I mean, I haven't heard much talk about this game, but I just don't care. I really don't. And, I try not to dog on this game just because it's a prequel, but yeah, that's what majority of this plot is, and I just don't I like the characters. Characters are good. They brought back characters from the first game that I liked a lot. But the plot, I just don't care much about Rachel's bio mother. I just don't. And that's just kind of is where it is. So yeah. Moving on to number 60, we have Life is Strange 2. I couldn't decide which one I liked more, but then I got to thinking about it, and I do like Life is Strange 2 more. I know it's pretty widely disliked critically. It's not very good. Here's the thing. Okay, let's just I'm gonna take it back. Okay, let me just tell you the plot, because the plot sounds great. Like, the premise for the plot is so interesting to me. So you have two brothers, Sean and Daniel. Okay, Sean is the older brother. I think he's like 16. Daniel is like 9 or 10. And at the start of the game, something happens. There's an altercation that goes down, and we discover that that Daniel has these supernatural abilities, has these like telekinesis abilities, has psychosis ability. No, psychosis, that's not the right word. You know, this telekinetic abilities where he can frickin' he could frickin' and he ends up killing someone. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's ever announced or sure, but I'm pretty sure he ends up killing someone. So Sean and Daniel have to go on the road, and they have to Sean is taking care of Daniel, but they're having to like go through this together. Daniel's having to leave, not Daniel. Frick, I keep getting them mixed. Sean is having to leave everything behind. Daniel didn't have that much, so it wasn't as big of a deal to him, but Sean actually did. But he's taking the responsibility of taking care of his brother. And that's basically the plot. They're on the road, and they come across all different walks of life. And at one point, they're even working at a marijuana farm. And like, it's like the premise for the premise for this show, like that plot alone is so good. Like, that premise is just so good to me. The first episode is the altercation, and then them on the run, and they come to it's so memorable. It really is. It's so memorable. The first 2 episodes I love. So cool. The different aspects of life that they experience in this game. That's everything I love. And then there's stuff that's not so good to me. Personally, you know, I'm not a big fan of, and I've talked about this last episode, not a big fan of a project, whether it be a TV show, a movie, a video game, whatever, that turns around, that's literally going this way, turns back around on everything it just did and spits on it. That's what I feel like this game does. And just because it worked, like, on the good parts of the game, it works so hard on the brotherhood, like, relationship. And, you know, I'm a big fan of that. I am a brother. I've got 2 brothers, and I love them to death, and I would do anything for them. And so when it kind of craps on that, it's like, okay, well, what were we doing? You know, I don't know. It's just, that's what makes it, you know. I like this game. I recommend playing these games. You know, I really do. Like, I think I'm going to start adding a thing at the end of each game where I say if I recommend it or not. You know, the Dark Pictures games, if you like story-based games, decision-based games, play the Dark Pictures games. They're worth it. Because, 1, you could get a different outcome than I do. 2, you might just like the game better than I do. You know, you might like the premise better. And that's fine. All of this is just subjection. You know what I mean? Like, it's just what I think. That's the beauty of it. So, you know, I would these Life is Strange Before the Storm. It's fun. It's you play through it. Play through this one. But the reason it's as low as it is because half the game I love, the other half I could take it or leave it, and I prefer to leave it, honestly, and that's why this is as low as it is. So, yeah, I mean that's pretty much where I'm at. So we made it to 60. Next video we will start off at 59, and we'll be breaking the 50s. So I hope you guys liked and enjoyed this episode. Let me know what y'all think, what you disagree with, agree with, or have questions about. And yeah, peace out.